So your Portland Trailblazers yesterday get into a dogfight with a Donovan Mitchell-less Cleveland Cavalier team.
Was that just a random sitting, or was he hurt? Because they came back against Boston the other night. We didn't have it. Was that Friday night that game happened?
No, that was Saturday. That was the day before.
Okay, so it was a doubleheader for them.
Mitchell hasn't been playing back-to-backs all that often.
The highlight of Jason Tatum telling them to get the bleep out of here, up, 25-3
25-3 to
25-3. Get the bleep out of here, and then blowing that lead.
Dude, they almost blew a lead yesterday to Denver. They were up 20-some points to Denver, and Denver came back at the end there.
Look, they're probably going to win the title, but anytime that happens to Boston, I quite enjoy it, especially Tatum.
I'd prefer them not to win the title, one, because I've actually enjoyed
too.
this run of NBA not having repeat dynasties.
Give me anybody else.
But also, I'm just so exhausted with Bill Simmons putting Tatum in a certain category of player that nobody in America watching the NBA that's not a Celtic fan does.
No.
You know, Luka. Oh, yeah, Tatum does that too.
Wasn't the best player on his own team in the finals last year.
Winning the MVP of his own team.
He was a third fiddle.
Yeah, the Tatum thing is weird. He's a polarizing player.
Yes.
But your Trailblazers damn near did it, man. Got to overtime, pushed the Cavs, who, by the way, coming into that game were 27-4 at home.
Pretty remarkable.
And Denny Avdija has a career high, 30 points, 10 assists, 12 rebounds. Just an amazing game from him. A great triple-double. Shaden was good in this one. He had 18 and 6. Scoot was fine in this one. I thought Scoot was actually really important for them at the beginning of this game.
Yeah.
Because Ant was god-awful. Ant's numbers, actually, 27 points is great. 7 of those are free throws. He was 8 of 23 from the field.
Yeah, he had a couple of big threes late in the game, but a lot of them come from the free throw line.
Trailblazers with a nice performance. Tumani was really good. I chuckled in the second or third quarter. I think it was the second. I heard a lot of this game with Travis Demers because I was running errands, but then I watched the second half. And it was just funny. I felt like I kept hearing Delano Banton, and I wondered how many Cavs fans are going to leave the arena Googling, who is Delano Banton?
Who the hell is this guy? Never heard of this guy before in my life.
That's what our team has to be to people, right? Like, they show up.
Kamara, who's this guy? He's pretty good.
Denny Avdija?
I mean,
who's Denny Avdija?
That's who I was when they made the trade for him on draft night. I've never heard of this guy in my life, man.
Exactly.
I don't watch Washington Wizards basketball. What the hell's going on here? I did place a nice wager on the Cavs money line at halftime, which then proceeded to be a significant sweat the rest of the game, and I was cursing at Darius Garland as he missed a late free throw.
Dude, if he doesn't miss it,
no, make your free throws. It was driving me nuts. I was rooting against my own team there, but I've been doing that largely all year. Look, that game was awesome. It was an entertaining game from start to finish. I have not watched every Blazer game this year from start to finish for obvious reasons. And a lot of them, I just want to go to bed. It's the second quarter. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. It's Tuesday night. That game started at 7:15. That was an incredible performance by the effort, the intensity. Again, I'll go back to what I said in the last segment. I don't have a lot of things to critique when you have Shaden Sharp in the starting lineup, Donovan Clingan in the starting lineup, when you're playing your young guys and they're leading you to a performance like that. Ant's really the only one that I still have a gripe with. So I'm not going to even complain about the rotations, the minutes, any of that stuff. Would like to see Clingan not commit 6 fouls in 11 minutes. That's the only critique I would have of his game. Let's get a little more time on the floor, buddy. We don't have any other centers that are available. So there's no real bones to pick with it. I think it's just an interesting point right now for the fan base because of what you said in the last segment. There's a lot of people. I was watching the game yesterday with my dad. He's one of those fans. He's just cheering them on. Yes! Every time they make a bucket. And he knows that I feel the exact opposite, and I'm on the other end of the spectrum. But there's a weird balance here. I saw our buddy Danny Meringue send a tweet out after the game. And he and I obviously disagree on the current state of the organization for anybody who's listening to this radio station.
On a lot of different issues.
Issues. We are on different sides of this debate.
Yeah.
And he said anybody who, I'm paraphrasing, so Danny can yell at me if I get this wrong, but it was basically anybody who can't see what they're building, I don't know what to tell you. Mm-hmm. And that's where I would say, Danny, I think you're right. There's a lot of really exciting things that they are building. I understand what Cronin's trying to do with more athletic guys, a little more length, a little more size.
Right.
Kamara's I understand all of that, and it's all stuff to be really excited about. The hardest thing that I have going back to the whole cheering for them to win or to lose is the debate of how do you get out of this position?
How do you get to the next
So
position?
the Blazers are playing good basketball right now. Nobody would that's been the case for what are we going on now? 5 to 6 weeks, 2 months? Like it's been going on for a minute, man. Like they have been playing very good basketball. It's probably not going to be enough to get them into a play-in situation. No. Chauncey has gotten a lot of the young guys to buy in. I disagree with the way he's handled Shaedon Sharpe, but a lot of the other stuff has worked out for him. My biggest thing as a fan is I don't want to be the guy that's just happy on a Tuesday night, entertain me, okay, now I'll go on to my next thing. I felt like we had that for 10 years with Damian Lillard. That's who we were. We were never a legitimate title contender.
No.
He would go for 50, 60, hell, even sometimes 70. It would be incredible. You get entertaining nights, dunks, alley-oops. All right, this is fun. And then when it came time, push came to shove for meaningful basketball, you would get bounced in the first round of the playoffs. Now, that team had a star. This team doesn't necessarily have one. That to me is the elephant of the room with this organization that I just have a hard time squaring, where I'm excited about the growth, I'm excited about the development, I'm excited about a lot of things that you're seeing this year. But ultimately, the biggest question that they have to answer is how do you go from being a fun, competitive, we're playing hard basketball team that's only going to take you so far in the NBA because stars win. And that is what I still have an issue with.
So I saw this graphic. This is from Tom Haberstroh, who will join us at 8:15. And we have a promo now where if you didn't listen to any of these programs and you just moved to Portland and you heard a promo, you would think I'm saying Toumani Camara is their superstar player.
He is their superstar.
So thank you, Jason.
You said that
Swigard.
multiple times on this show.
I appreciate that.
He's the top 50 player of all time.
Haberstroh brought up these stats defensively on Toumani versus Evan Mobley. Recorded blocks, Mobley outdoes him 53-22. But steals, Toumani has it. Charges, Toumani has it. Offensive fouls drawn, Toumani has it.
Mm-hmm.
Total stops, Toumani has it. Now, I'd nitpick this and say, not really sure how you comp a perimeter defender versus an interior defender.
With some of those stats, yeah.
Like Toumani gets to guard guys who are more likely to maybe have offensive fouls because they're dribbling the ball.
Or get more steals because he's
he's roaming around a little bit more on the outside. Evan Mobley, I don't think this is a great graphic because it makes you think a little bit. But the point I kind of come back to, because I don't disagree with, I guess, your overall broader point. You can see what they're building and how they're building it because, like, Denny has this great game, and he's had a great run now after a little bit of a slow start.
He was awesome yesterday.
Toumani has been their best story all season, continues to be. Shaedon is now in his last couple games, at least put it together somewhat. Scoot is playing with more confidence, and, I don't know what that equals at the end of all of this, but it's better than what we saw his rookie year. I've told people that are huge Ant fans, like, I actually don't dislike Anthony Simons, but he's a sixth man. He's not a starting point guard for a basketball team, in my estimation.
That wants to compete for an NBA championship.
He's Jamal Crawford. Like, let the guy come off the bench and be a microwave. Let him go on his random runs. I mean, he had 27 points on 8 of 23. He had 2 assists. So, like, he's a bucket getter when he's playing well. That's not even that efficient of basketball, but he finished with 27 points, hit some big shots for them late.
Yeah.
I keep coming back to they're probably going to stick in the draft at their area.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they can make quite the same leap as this team. But I kind of look at them a little Houston-y of I don't know what the move is. Maybe it's just as simple as drafting and hoping development works. Because if the lottery doesn't go your way, it is Toumani's a win-now guy. Denny's a win-now guy.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put him in it. Shaedon has been playing. Shaedon's a win-now guy. Scoot is a win-now guy. If you don't move Anthony Simons, win-now guy. If you don't move DeAndre Ayton, win-now guy. Klingon, please get better. Please get in slightly better shape, get better. That could be a win. Like, you kind of go through the roster, and if there's not these big sweeping trade moves that they can have because these contracts are somewhat difficult to move, you've got like 6 guys that you'd put in these are win-now guys. And so that's why I kind of give a little bit of an outlandish take, according to a lot of people probably, of like, I don't know, man. Like, are you going to find a piece coming in the draft from the 10 to 12 range that's going to really impact your team a whole lot?
Odds tell you probably not.
Maybe not, at least in the first year or two. But that's why I'm a little more open-minded to being flexible at that spot. Your overall point is one you continue to make, and I don't disagree with it, but it's too late. They've already messed that up.
I totally get that, yeah.
And I'd also make one final argument.
But to me, it's not too late because this will be a consistent thing. Like, we are so caught in the moment as sports fans.
It's
too late for this year's draft, unquestionably.
And you're not going to be the worst team in the NBA next year.
No, of course you're not. But are you going to be a playoff team next year?
Well, that's why I'm saying it's Houston-y. Can you take a step?
I mean, I think you'll be better next year if you bring everybody back.
Next year?
Is that enough? And this is my overarching
for
point.
People like your dad,
that's not enough for me. And that's my point. Is I'm never going to back down from that. I'm not.
Yeah.
That's not enough for me. Being the 7 seed and winning a play-in game and then you can bounce in the first round of the playoffs. That's not fun for me as a fan. I want real meaningful basketball, which is something that I have not had in this city basically my entire life since I was 10 years old.
But how many of your dads exist, right?
I'm not. The majority of the fan base is probably against me at this point. Sure. I don't disagree with that fact, but I'm not going to back down from the take. It's not fun going to the playoffs and getting rocked in the first round in a gentleman's sweep every single year because you don't have a superstar.
Well, that's the thing. Is I don't know what the move is. If it's just as simple as like stick at the draft and pick the player that's best and hope that they become that, or lean on the younger guys that have been playing. Well, Denny's playing great. Shaden's getting it together a little bit. Tamani is showing offensive growth, and on top of this, he's going to be an all-NBA defensive team guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact. If he's not, it's an absolute sham of a league. If he is not at least on the first or second, probably the second team, he should be on that list. And so I just look at this and I say, well, I don't know what it is and who it is, but how much of their growth next year, because I don't want to sound like I don't agree with your overall point. The problem is that ship has sailed. Unless the lottery gods bless us, which we don't get nice things here, that ship is gone. It left the port a while ago.
Yeah.
So now you're in a spot where it's like, well, what's the growth and what is the move to get you to take a jump from what this is? It's going to be a close play-in team who's going to miss it to play-in team, bottom of the West next year playoff team.
Yeah.
Because they've been playing really good basketball. Their defensive rating numbers are through the roof the last 2 months.
Last 2 months, man. They're playing good basketball.
And we could talk to Tom Abistro about this at 8:15. His thoughts on just the growth, the difference, the guys who are standing out to him, the Tamani Evan Mobley argument that he made yesterday on the broadcast. Hopefully he calls in at 8:15. Good morning, Tom. It's good to have you part of the program.
He's definitely listening right now.